Please take a second to subscribe, then like and share afterwards. We can really use your support. Thank you. In our last episodes, we uncovered the ancient war that split the heavens. We saw the first revolt, the coup in the garden, led by the jealous cherub. We witnessed the second, more brutal revolt, the invasion on the mountain, where divine beings crossed the line and poisoned the earth itself. The result? A world under occupation, a world where God, in the wake of Babel, made a shocking decision. He disinherited the nations. He handed them over. But he kept one portion for himself, one beachhead. This is what you're seeing on your newsfeed. This is the war behind every headline from Gaza, from Tehran, from the United Nations. This is not a political conflict. It is a cosmic reclamation project, and we are all living in its final, most violent phase. Now it's time to connect the dots. After Babel, the 70 nations were scattered, and according to Deuteronomy 32, they were placed under the administration of the 70 Bene Elohim, the sons of God. But with Satan's spirit now governing the rebellion of this world, what was the first thing these nations did? They inverted the truth. They exchanged the worship of the invisible Creator for the worship of the visible creation. They followed the pattern of their rebellious patrons. Paganism, witchcraft, the worship of Baal, of Molech, and of Ashtoreth, of Zeus, Odin, and Quetzalcoatl. This was not a series of random isolated cultural developments. This was the spiritual signature of the disinherited nations operating under fallen principalities. It was a global system of idolatry, a mirror universe designed to keep humanity from looking back to the God who had handed them over. And in the middle of it all, one sliver of land pulsed with a different kind of light, the beachhead, the inheritance, the land promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This was Yahweh's portion, his divine experiment. And what would a nation look like if it was ruled directly by me? If it was holy, set apart from the systems of the world? And from the moment that beachhead was established, the counterattacks began. The enemy understood the stakes. If God could preserve a pure people in a poisoned world, he could birth the Messiah from them, and that Messiah, Scripture promised, would crush the serpent's head. This has already been a war of genocide. The gods of Egypt tried to drown the lion in the Nile. The gods of Canaan, Baal, Asherah, sought to seduce it into mixture through pagan marriage and child sacrifice. The princes behind Babylon and Persia sought to assimilate it or wipe it out in exile. Every empire, every idol, every assault had one goal: corrupt, compromise, or destroy the beachhead. Stop the seed from coming. Now look at the modern map. The war hasn't changed. The theater has. The spiritual principality the Bible calls the Prince of Persia still animates its ancient territory. The regime in Iran doesn't just oppose a state. It leads a theocratic, jihadist counter-kingdom whose core doctrine is the eradication of the Jewish beachhead. It funds, arms, and coordinates the proxies on Israel's borders: Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and the Houthis in Yemen. What was October 7th? It was not merely a terrorist attack. It was a spiritual declaration. It was a deliberate, sadistic attempt to desecrate the inheritance, to inflict a wound so deep it would break the will of the nation. It was a message from the ancient enemy. I can still reach into your home. I can still defile your land. This beachhead is not safe. And look at the global response, the instant viral justification of barbarism, the moral inversion on university campuses and in international bodies, the ancient libel repackaged. This is the ghost of Babel rising again, a unified global voice of rebellion against God's moral order and his chosen vessel. It is the liturgy of the new paganism, and its central tenet is the delegitimization of Israel. Why? Because the enemy knows the timeline. He reads his own obituary in the prophets. He knows that Zechariah says Jerusalem will be a cup of staggering and a heavy stone for all nations. He knows Ezekiel 38 lists Persia, modern Iran, as a leader of the final northern coalition that comes against the mountains of Israel. He knows that when the Messiah returns, he will judge the nations based on how they treated his Jewish brethren. So this is the frantic endgame strategy. Stop the beachhead at all costs. If Israel can be broken morally, spiritually, or physically, the staging ground for the king's return is compromised. If the nations can be fully unified in this new Babel, in hatred of God's people and God's truth, then the final assembled army of Revelation is ready. But here is the unshakable truth, the fixed point in this chaos. The war of the inheritances has a predetermined winner. At Babel, God disinherited. In Psalm 82, he pronounced the sentence on the corrupt gods of those nations. And in that same verse, he declared his ultimate mission, "You shall inherit all the nations." The beachhead will hold. The reclamation project will be completed. The Messiah will return to the inheritance of his people, and he will settle the ancient lawsuit of Psalm 82 in person. Every rocket from Gaza, every threat from Tehran, every hate-filled resolution in the UN, they are not signs of God's absence. They are the death throes of the defeated regime, lashing out at the one piece of earth it knows it can never finally possess. The war is real, it is ancient, and it's coming to a head. Stay focused, stay discerning, and remember which side has already written the final chapter. Up next, we go to the beachhead itself. We will see how God forged this nation and why its survival is the greatest miracle and the central proof of the story we are telling. Here on Secrecies Uncovered.